Hello, everyone, and welcome to Life Clarifications with Natasha. I am here today to help you. And many of us are going through a lot of different situations right now. And I know, boy, COVID is just taking over right now. I know with a lot of fear and a lot of situations like that. And I just wanted to be here to help you today. And I go live a lot, I know, and I do my little posts daily, except for on the weekend. Saturday pretty much is the only day that you won't see my posts. And sometimes even I do it then. But I do my inspirational quotes on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and MeWe, and now on LinkedIn. So I just want people to know that if you're looking for anything inspirational, you can go follow my quotes. And if you want to go to my YouTube channel, I do inspirational short videos like 2 minutes, and you may find them on my regular posts too, because usually I post there and there and there. But I want you to know that a lot of my inspirational short videos are timeless. A lot of what I talk about is timeless because, we can be going through something with COVID, we can be going through something with this or that or the other. And, it's all in perspective of where we're at. And I know that a lot of things that I talk about, I have an understanding. I don't know necessarily because everybody has a different perspective about their life and perception about what they're doing in life. That or flip that around, I don't, each one represents each one. That as we're going through life and navigating through life, and I use that word a lot, navigating, because it's like navigating through some waters that are unsure. How can I get through this? What am I going to do to get through this? How am I going to think about this? How am I going to have that willingness to walk through that? And that's the one thing that I want you to know is that life is like going through the waters of emotions, going through what should we do next? What should we go where next? And, we're not always perfect. Like my dog who I could trust. Well, she chewed up a cat toy, and that's the first time in years. So we're not always perfect, right? She did it while I was doing a session. So I wasn't giving her attention like she wanted. But she was also in a place where she probably couldn't get to her ball, and that was what was in the way. And she's very, very ball focused. So whatever we're focused on is a lot of times what we're getting right now. Hello on Instagram. And on Wednesdays, if I don't have a guest, I'm going to be live on Wednesdays, 4 o'clock Pacific time. So you can reach me here and watch. Today, I would like to talk about, many of us are getting that feeling. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I know I've talked about this in different ways, but everything that we talk about, everything that comes forth and around, a lot of times it is, I could talk about it a month ago and I talk about it a different way now. We're all going through something. Should we do it? Should we not do it? I'm getting a feeling this. Well, I know with this new year, the 2022 year, a lot of people are finding that they're inspired about it. That's a gift. Because being inspired, knowing that this year can be pretty well what we want it to be. Many of us get where we're getting inspired. Now, this is the beginning spot of working through what we need to do to get through, to follow through on certain things, right? Because every idea that we get in life has a reaction. Every thought that we have has a reaction, doesn't it? Like if I say I'm hungry, our first reaction is, what should I eat? Instead of thinking, should I eat right now? Is my body thirsty? Is my body hungry? Well, I'm hungry. Okay, so should I eat? What should I eat? And then, those reactions get another reaction, right? So what I'm asking you to do is look at, how do we think about the things that pop in our head? How do we think about that? Are we more positive about it, or are we more negative about it? Are we interacting with what used to always happen, or are we working with what is happening? Because of the fact that when we're inspired to start something new, Now, I have an understanding that many of us have addictions. I'm going to include myself in that. Now, not all addictions look the same, okay? Because we have the drug addictions, the alcohol addictions, and then we have technology addictions, we have food addictions, we have spending money addictions, we have needing to please addictions, right? Well, many times when we're wanting to start something or shift something in our life, we have to go to those places that doesn't feel good. And that triggers fear, right? Well, if I want to change it, I'm going to get uncomfortable. Do I want to get uncomfortable? Well, I can tell you right now, personally, I'm working through my addiction with my phone. Okay. And my phone I wouldn't say that my addiction is like a normal addiction with it. Yes, I play my games on it. Yes, I play solitaire. There's sometimes though where, let's say my husband and I wants me to watch a movie with him. Okay. And this movie could be a simple movie for someone, but for me, it triggers anxiety. Just that angst of the energy. What's going to happen next? And I can tell you that my perception and my intuitiveness sees what's going to happen. And then the reality of what I'm seeing happens. And then I get it triggers me. Okay. And not in a good way. So I use my phone to play like solitaire while I'm watching the movie. So I'm concentrating on something else. Husband doesn't always like it, but yet it's my thing that I can sit there and watch movies. And he always asks me, "You're not watching a movie?" And then I repeat what I just saw. And he's like going, "Oh yeah, you are watching the movie." But so I'm going to say that I have an addiction with my phone. Well, I do my postings with my phone. I do a lot of my intuitive business with my phone. I send emails, I send texts, there's a lot going on with my phone. So my phone is very interactive with me. And my husband, who's an alcoholic, or what he still is, but he's almost 10 years sober now, that he showing me through his addiction that I'm addicted to my phone. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can really see that. Now I'm going to tell you that once I put it down at night, charge it or whatever, I don't pick it back up. It's not also the first thing that I look at in the morning. I usually do some of my intuitive work in the morning. So I sit there quietly. And with that as we go through those scenarios, that starting something new, like even quitting an addiction, shifting something, a diet that we want to shift. I'm going to go simple here. What should I do? Well, it triggers a discomfort. And our world right now is waking us up to different realities, right? And we're needing to walk into them. Me again. I just found out that potatoes are giving me migraines. I've been waking up with a headache for the last year and a half. And I finally muscle tested it. I finally looked into it. I finally saw the pattern of it. Potatoes. So right now I'm going to take a break on potatoes. Well, you know how much the other day I got the munchies. Potatoes, usually that crunch. I'm not a salt person, but there's sometimes where you just want that crunch. Well, I'm going to have to figure out what that crunch is, right? So I picked up some dried apples, chips, and that was an okay thing. It wasn't my go-to thing, but there again, retraining the brain on what is okay. And as we go through life and manage our life, well, I can tell that triggered some fear. Oh, fear. Let's look at fear. Let's look at what fear does. We get an idea to do something. And a lot of times the first thing that comes back to us is, all right, can we really do that? Is that something we can really do? Is that something we really should do? Well, many a times when we look at that, it's good to look at it. Who's really talking in that fear? Could it be reality? I don't want my reality to be different because it's easier to stay comfortable in something that is not necessarily good. Because now I was comfortable in the not good for me potato chips. And having a lot of my other food allergies, there was a certain brand that I would use because I can't do corn syrups and that kind of thing. So I could only eat certain brands. And so I got that taste bud in my being. And well, so with that, I want you to know that anything that you're going forward with, anything that you're managing with, you're going to have fear get triggered right at that moment that that concept comes in, because a lot of times I know that a lot of us have failed in the past with some of that idea that we just had that we're going to do. I can tell you anytime that we failed, and that's a word that really isn't in my book, because every time that I have had a situation where I took 2 steps back, it was 2 steps back so I can jump a bigger span in the future. It gave me the momentum to go back, to go forward. Okay, so failure was not in my book, yet at the same time, I was in the process of learning something so that I can move forward differently in the future. And that's the gift that we can give ourselves, is knowing that going further in the future, because we tried one way, that one way road, and that road didn't work out. It was a dead end road. That's okay. I got some learning. I got people in my life that helped me out. So, with those that are watching, I would love to have comments, nice comments, by the way, of interaction. If you would like to have any input on this conversation, because of the fact that your perspective is your perspective, right? And as we're going through life, how do we manage our fear? How do we manage our fear? Many of us let our fear control us, right? Now, going back to those movies and getting anxiety, I'm getting to the point where I don't want to sit in front of movies because I don't like that angst feeling, right? That angst feeling. Well, now, am I letting that fear take over or not? Well, I have to check in with that, right? And I know that's a simple concept. It's not like jumping off of a cliff or something like that. But for me, many times sitting, because of the fact that if I watch it, I'm going to end up dreaming about it, or there's some other prospect that it's going to end up in my nighttime life of my brain, and I'm not always comfortable with what comes out of it. So I've had dreams where I've been shot, hung, killed. And yes, those are past life situations too, or different dimensional type things. Now, I believe in many different things. You can't surprise me really with reality, because for me, reality is not always this part of where I'm seeing, but I try to keep it legal here on video here. That it depends on where I'm at in the nighttime, depends on what dimension I'm working in, depends on what reality I'm in, right? So with that as we go through life, manage our life, this body, this soul, and this time is having to deal with something. Well, fear is the thing that triggers us as we go forward. Fear is a good teller. It's not a negative thing. But if we let it stop us, though, that's the thing that's going to stop us from doing what something is really calling for us. And I can tell you, getting in an alignment with what your soul wants to do, it's like there's no stopping you. It's that moment where, oh, I can do this. I really can do this, right? Because I know that when your soul wakes up and says to attention, it's like a dog when you say, you want to go for a walk? Huh? It's like, what? Yeah, yeah. Can we do this? Really? We can do that? Really? We can do that? So with that, let your soul be alive in this lifetime. I have an understanding that we sometimes have to do jobs that aren't fun. I work in elementary school. I know that my soul is doing its job, its want, its calling to do, and it's excited about doing that. But sometimes when it's raining and the rain is sideways and it's 30 degrees and you're trying to hold an umbrella and your hands are ice cold and it's the 45th minute of you being outside of the hour and a half that you have to be outside, and you still have a half an hour to go. Sometimes your soul's not necessarily doing its job that it wants to do. Then a situation pops up in front of you that says it's time for you to do your soul's calling. And that's what I want to talk today about, is doing what our soul wants to do, our soul calling. Our soul calling. And when our soul wakes up and says, this rings true. Now I'm going to tell you that your soul calling can do different realities to do its calling. Okay. For me, I'm doing this work, doing intuitive work. I'm a medium, intuitive personal awareness coach. I see past lives. I see different realities. I see different dimensions. I talk with star beings. I talk to fairies. I talk to angels. I talk to loved ones who have passed. I am a lot over the gamut of situations. That is my calling to do. Yes, to do this work. Also, like today, I'm sitting with a student who's struggling with reading. And her teacher said, she's coming alive. She's getting inspired. And I just went, yes, yes, you made my day. Because I inspired a student who's very dyslexic, who reminds me, who struggled with in third grade, even remembering what a P would, the letter P would say p, or the letter A said ah. So with that when we're going through something, and that's one thing my soul wants to do, is inspire. Like I call myself, I'm an inspirational feng shui artist, because I inspire people to change their world. Maybe that's my soul's calling, is to inspire. And being a teacher is part of that scenario. Now, me being an inspirational teacher, instead of a personal awareness coach, I can be an inspirational teacher. You never know where the thoughts come. That as we're working through life and going through that fear. Now, I can sit in that fear and think, I can't read really. I don't really know how to write. My emails all get proofed by somebody. That I struggle with this, but should I allow that fear to stop me from being this person? When I'm talking, not in intuitiveness, a lot of times my words get gobbled up, and that garbling ends up being, like my husband says, when we first met, Natasha, you speak Natashanese because you don't make sense to me. Well, he's very black and white, and I'm very gray. I work in, that's not a yes or a no. It's kind of in the middle. There's different perspectives, right? He's very black and white. It has to be this way, and it's going to be that way. Well, I can tell you his reality is turning a little bit more gray right now, because of the fact that life right now is having us look at different perspectives, different realities, different knowings. And as we go through life, managing life, it's amazing where we can go. Now, have you ever seen 9/11 on a clock, or 111 or 11/11, and it pops up regularly? That's how the universe talks with you. That's how your universe can talk with you. And I have an understanding that the more I get those things, those numbers, like for me, 9/11, and I've said this before, 9 and 11. 9 is about endings. The number 9 is about endings, and 11 is about magical connection. So I'm having a 9 ending with a magical connection, right? When I get that number a lot, I have that remembrance. Okay, what am I going through right now? The universe is telling me you're having an ending, you're having troubles, you're having scenarios where things are slipping away because you're going to have magical new beginnings coming up. 9/11. So when I'm getting that inspiration to do something, the idea to do something, look for places where the universe is talking with you, i.e., numbers, i.e., animals that run in front of you. Another one would be like TV shows. Sometimes when we're flipping through or seeing something on Facebook, and we get this inspiration about a language that's coming up, partnership maybe. And if that word partnership keeps popping up in front of you, maybe what you need to do is, if you're getting inspired about doing something, maybe you need a partner to help you. So look at how the universe is trying to say you're on the right path. And that's by doing things to walk forward. If we're not walking forward and trying new things, the universe cannot inspire us to do things. And we're not going to go anywhere. We're in that stagnant job. And many of us are getting that feeling that there's something coming. There's something really coming. Ooh, there's something coming. There's something coming. There's something coming. What is it going to be? And then we sit back and go, it's not coming. It's not coming. Why isn't it coming? What have you done to go past the fear, the angst, the uncertainty, and done some research? Looked at emails, looked at what you can do. I know a lot of us are having to change our lives. A lot of us are having to change what we feel is comfortable to be able to go to the other side of where we're comfortable and happier. So Veronica, so tonight when I'm talking to my higher power, should I ask my soul to speak with me and help me on my journey? Help me to be who I am meant to be in this life. I would be honored to communicate. Yeah, I have been seeing this 9 or 1111 and 111 a lot. Yay! Yay. Thank you, Veronica, for chiming in. So Veronica is on Facebook and YouTube, so that I'm watching her posts. So what she said, for those on Instagram who can't see this. So then tonight when I'm talking to my higher power, should I ask my soul to speak with me? And I to help me on my journey. Help me to be who I'm meant to be in this life. I would be so honored to communicate this. I have been seeing 1111 and 111 in the time slots. Thank you, Veronica. It took me a minute to read because of how I am. Yes, yes, yes. Now, this is one thing that I do intuitively, is in the morning or at night. What I end up doing a lot of times is I sit with parts of me. Okay. One of these aspects that I sit is, I picture like a dining room table. And at a dining room table, I bring my soul to it. I bring my emotions to it. I bring my soul, emotions, mind, and body. Okay. So all 4 of them are sitting. Okay. So soul, emotions, mind, and body. Okay. And as I'm sitting around this table, we're all having a conversation. And a lot of times the mind wants to go, da, 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 da. And I have to, sometimes the soul takes over and says, we're all going to take our own time. and we're all going to have a communication. Many times, as I am in my metaphorical body self, a lot of times I'm standing or I'm sitting at the table being a witness of this conversation. And I can throw out questions. You know what I also did in this conversation between the three of us or the four of us? I threw in my life journey. Where am I supposed to go in my life? My life purpose, my life knowing, whatever you want to call it. So I put a fifth seat, well, actually sixth seat, because I'm there as a humanist watching this. And I've done that. And you know what? Things are popping up. Things are popping up because I've asked my life path to be included in the conversation of my future. Whoa, what a concept, right? What a concept. What a concept. Include my life path in the conversations of where I'm supposed to go. Right? With that, this is all metaphorical in meditation in a moment. I don't even call my visits with my spiritual self as meditations, because then that puts a cliche word on. I call them conversations with myself or with my higher selves or with my team. I have conversations. And so with that, I can have a conversation as I'm walking from one room to another. I can have conversations when I'm laying in bed. I can have conversations. They ask me to politely not go too deep when I'm in the car because I'm driving. So with that, have a conversation and add in that higher self. So yes, have communication with your soul. Soul, am I doing what my life purpose is? And I know, Veronica, knowing you, I would say you're pretty well on your path, because your path is about supporting the love around you, supporting the love around you. And however that plays out in your job, and that could be teaching, showing love by teaching, showing love by giving, showing love to yourself. And I know that that's been part of the life journey for a lot of us, and including you, is finding that self-love. But you have to find it here to find what your soul path is and that soul calling is. Right? As we're going through life and as we're managing life, it's interesting to see those placements of where life is. So a lot of us get fear walking through what we're called to do. I'm going to go back to even the simplicity of watching a movie, that my angst and my image of what's going to happen in the movie, especially when sometimes my husband chooses these certain movies, that it's like, is this something I want to, I don't know if I want to, this looks pretty, I don't know if I want to watch that gore right now. I'm energetically challenged right now. I don't necessarily want to watch blood and gore. Well, sometimes when I sit through a little bit of it, I find out it's not what I imagined it would be. Oh, there again is the mind controlling what we should be doing, right? And so talking with yourself, okay, I can sit here, and I know this is a simple thing for a lot of people, it's watching movies. For me, it's not. But as I sit here and watch it, okay, I can do this. Oh, wait a minute, there's somebody who's going to be getting their head cut off. Okay, so this is the time I'm going to go in and grab something in the other room, and then I'll come back after that happens. Do I let fear stop me from watching the movie and spending time with my husband? No. What I allow it to do is honor me so that I don't necessarily have to watch some of the places that will trigger some of my dreams. Okay. And, knowing that fear is going to be a part of this dance. We're always going to have fear starting. We're going to be getting fear starting something new. Now, I'm going to tell you that a lot of times people keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not working. and it's not working. A lot of us aren't meant to work for ourselves. A lot of us are meant to help someone else. There again is partnership. There again is finding the trust that we can have. Many of us are looking at a different aspect of beginning. We're leaving jobs that we're tired of doing, right? And it's the fear, can I survive it? Well, I can tell you that a lot of us who are navigating through this, it's better if we step into, okay, fear, you're telling me to look at my future a little differently. Okay. Or how am I supposed to look at that? And I can tell you, though, in a session, I can help you out with this, looking at certain situations where you're coming into. Okay. Life is always about fear. Life is always going to be challenging. Life is always going to be a process of this or that. It is. It really is. And no matter where we're at and what we're doing and where we're going uh, and maneuvering our way, sometimes we have to take those 2 steps back to get to 5 steps forward. It's not failure by any means. And I know a lot of people are working with addictions. And how can I get sober? How can I get, and I'm going to even call myself sober from using my phone. So I know Instagram right now is on my phone. I'm not playing necessarily on it, but it distracts me a lot from spending time in my spiritual world and time for me to go deeper, which means my mind has to be a little bit more uncomfortable. What am I going to do? Should I twiddle my thumbs? Should I do this? Should I do that? Well, that's it. My inner child mind, my inner child's mind saying, but I don't want to. I don't want to put it down. I don't want to. I have to be bored. Yes, yes, and yes. But spend time being calmer and bored, working through those mindset ideas of what we're doing. Those mindset ideas of what we're doing. Sometimes we get messages in dreams. I know a lot of us are dreaming lately, and our universe talks to us through dreams. Well, I had an interesting dream last night, and I'm not sure. Excuse me. And I want you to kind of, I don't know, it's kind of that scenario where it might help give a definition for this. So I had a dream about how I was taking a walk with someone and they decided to walk into an ice cream parlor. I love ice cream. I love ice cream. I love ice cream. It doesn't love me. Not in this lifetime. My body just doesn't handle it very well. Well, I was pushed into getting some ice cream, mainly from the person who was scooping the ice cream out, the person who was behind the counter. And I kept saying, no, no, no. They kept pushing. They kept pushing. And I said, okay, I understand, but I need to make sure I don't get anything with nuts. So I'm highly allergic to nuts in this body form, in this reality world. And they said, no, I'm fine. There's no nuts in it. And of course, having ice cream. Yeah, I haven't had ice cream in years, and I am so hungry for ice cream, right? So in my dream, I'm ready to chow down, right? And as I was brought into this ice cream shop, usually I don't get ice cream, which I don't. I take a bite, crunch. and then take another bite, crunch. And I remember that in my dream, that the crunch was important. And I looked down and there's walnuts there, walnuts in my ice cream. And I went, oh, how come I didn't stop? How come I didn't stop myself? Well, I took another bite and I said, well, I've come this far. I'm going to go further. Well, I was like, I was, what am I doing in my dream? I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I allowing these other scenarios come into my reality? Why am I not stopping something that is not good for me? Well, in my reality that I was in, eating nuts, in my sleep form of my body, I started feeling my throat kind of getting a little weird. And then my cat started meowing downstairs. And she's pretty in tune with me, even though she's feral. She's feral or she's not feral. And how do I put this? She comes in, she interacts with the family, but yet she stays outside most of the time, and that's her comfort zone. She doesn't really like to be held that often, even though she really wants to be held. It's just not her comfort zone. So she's on the feral side. She was meowing about the same time, so it kind of woke me up out of my sleep. And at the same time, I was in that, my throat was starting to close up a little bit. And I'm like going, okay, wait a minute. Dream reality, I was eating nuts. This reality, I wasn't. And my body went, oh. But I still kind of had that weird feeling in my mouth. So in that sense, that there was crossing over of a dimension. Well, what this dream really got me was, what is life pushing me into? What is other people pushing me into? A reality that I don't feel comfortable in, that I know is not for my greater good, right? So I was pushed into doing something that is not for my greater good. And then I was told to eat, I would end up eating something that was not for my greater good. So I was digesting it. Wow. When I woke up, I really looked at that going, what am I doing in my life that's challenging me to do something that's not making me comfortable? What am I doing in my life that is challenging me to swallow those things that aren't always healthy for me? Well, I know our dreams are a lot of our subconscious talking to us, so I'm taking it there. So I'm really looking at that, and I'm using today looking at that. How am I to interact with those things? So in other words, like when my husband is feeling neglected because I'm doing my post at night, how can I interact with him? Because him pushing me into not using my phone is not necessarily working in my life, right? Because I need to do my business on it. Yet at the same time, there's different timing and there's different modalities on how I can do it. So look at what reality is trying to show you, that sometimes when we're looking at life and doing life, that's not always the perspective that we're looking at. Shift the perspective a little bit, and you might get a little bit different aspect of it. It's amazing how the universe works with us, isn't it? So now we're kind of coming to the point. Is there any questions out there for the conversation that I was having? Because, that's the one thing that what I talk about, I'm here to wake up. Your truth is your truth. Mine is mine. And the universe is talking to me, talking through me to you, to give you a different, like, moment. Should I look at that a little differently? Should I look at that a little differently? And as we go through life and manage our life, it's interesting what the universe tries to wake us up to. Like I just had a session and they were talking about how the star beings coming onto this planet and showing us a different reality. Well, ain't that a fear moment? Should I believe in the star beings? Or whatever you want to call them, ETs, family. Some of us are their family. Well, I can tell you that them waking us up a little bit by a little bit is helping us find our path. And that's the key that the universe wants you to know is that your soul will wake up to its right path and find its being, because part of it is practicing being in the moment that you're in. What can I do in this moment? Am I leaving the moment I'm interacting with somebody else better than what I found it? Am I leaving this moment that I am in better than I found it? And I can tell you a lot of times that's the key to start living your soul's path. Your soul wants this world to be better. And how can you do that? By leaving the place that you found it better than you, leaving where you're at better than you found it. People feeling more heard, people, the things feeling touched, the grace feeling touched. Like I poured water, I spilled a cup of water over my plate, and I had my cards on the table, and I had other things, and I had to take care of those things because things needed to be honored. So as we go through life and managing our life, going through and leaving things better than we found it. So what did I do? I used that chance to clean off the table, right? Clear it off energetic. I noticed now a plant who doesn't mind the dirt that it's in, actually wants to be transplanted. So now seeing that moment of, oh, it needs to be watered too. So it was actually probably calling the water to it now that I say that. It's kind of funny how I talk to plants, by the way, that as we go through life. So what I'm going to do when I'm done here is I'm going to do a quick little transplant because I had another plant that needed to get out of another pot. So look at what life is trying to show you. Spend time talking with the universe around you, your team. They can give you inspiration if it works with you. Okay. Sometimes it is about getting quiet. And I can tell you, putting down my phone, that is one thing that my brain will not be, is quiet, but I can figure out how to manage the mind business by giving it something to work on, which is talking with my team. It's time for cards. So anybody who would like a card reading, please speak up. I'm sorry, my angel cards end up getting kind of a little bit wet. Most of them are dry, but there's a couple of cards and I want to honor those cards that are not in the deck. So they will not be used today. I have the Oracle cards, which I love. Okay, they are working really good. They give us different messages of animals and path work and some of the ancestral goddesses and gods. We have the fairy deck here, which is the simple, this is Doreen Virtue's old fairy deck. They're just cute little things, but their messages are very meaningful. I have the map series of Claudette Baron Reads, and that is basically where I pick a card and then I read about it. And those are very insightful. I love those. So go ahead and then I know, Veronica, you're looking for the fairy deck, and I don't know if I'm going to pull them out. I also have animals. So the animals are very guiding us right now. They are very in tune with us right now. And I can tell you that they're helping out. And yes, I will pull out this deck here. This is another fairy deck, and this is actually the true fairies. This is what fairies look like. This is what fairies look like. They are light. They are beings. Whoop. They are beings. They are beings. Yes, some of them look like Tinkerbell, like this guy here. Like this guy here. They look like Tinkerbell, like this guy here. Yet at the same time, though, they're not always sweet and innocent as Tinkerbell. They love to be mischievous. They love to be mischievous. So if you would like to have a card reading, please put out what deck you would like. So we have the fairy deck. We have the map deck. We have a, I'm going to call it the lighter fairy deck. And then I have the oracle cards, with the cup, the oracle cards with the cup. So if anybody would like to put up what they would like, I would be grateful. And then I'll pull a card for us if nobody steps up here. I do hope this conversation was helpful for you. As we're all feeling like, I need to stir something up. There's something that's stirring up in me and I don't know what it is. Well, a lot of times it is about changing those little things, like me with my phone will change my world. Even if I don't put it down, but I'm going to change how I use it. Interacting with, should I get a new car? Should I end up getting a new job? Should I end up getting, should I? Well, we're getting those feelings, and yes, look at them. Look at them. I've had a couple things that came up with this intuitive business, and I have to look at them. What is right for me? What is right for my process? What is right for my process? Okay, so with that, I think I'm going to do this fairy deck and I'm going to read. So I'm going to ask them to do a reading for what do we need to know as a group of people. What do we need to know as a group of people is what I'm going to ask this fairy deck card to do. What is it that you would like to know? The Fae of this community. What would you like us to know to help us out in our future? What would you like us to know to help us out in our future? And if anybody's watching, what would you like me to talk about next week? Because I really feel like there's something that I'm supposed to be talking about, and I would like to give somebody else's perspective on that. So what is it that you would like us to know about? Okay, so this card right here is speaking to me. He's upside down. He's upside down. I'm going to turn him right side up so that we can look at him. Isn't he cute? He's just a little cutie. But he's upside down, which means reversed, which means that there's something we're going to be looking at in a reversed. Like we're not looking at it straightforward. We're kind of getting a different perspective on it. It's like hitting a lot of speed bumps in reality. Okay. So 58. I don't think we've gotten this card before. 58. 58. Faff the footer. Faff the fuffer. There's two F's in front of it. Faff the fuffer. Okay. Just as life is becoming surprising, exciting, and very interesting, though not necessarily fun, Faff the footer, Pfeffus of fairies, comes along to check out our feet. He picks up one foot in his remarkably strong hands and looks it over for Pfiffle between the toes. Smelling fungi? The dirty, untrimmed toenails? If he finds any of those signs of disrespect of our feet, for our walking on her with groby feet, so our world, he marks them by making holes in our socks. If things are really bad, he sends mice to eat our dancing shoes. So we're forced to dance barefoot in the dewy meadows under the moon. If it happens that we have snow instead of dew, that is just our tough luck. Warning. Faff may have fungi on his fingers from someone else's foot. And if our feet are not clean, both energetically and physically, the fungi are apt to take root. He leaves that foot in the air while he inspects the other foot, lifting it up as well. Having done his inspectuous job, he wanders off, leaving us standing there with both feet in the air, and Faf snickers, usually confused, excessively on your faces. He puts two F's in front of everything. So our faces, our face. This is not a good position for humans to be in. This is a test. Repeat, this is a test. If you've been warned, the test is to get both feet, and, feet back on the terra firma. Do not try to do anything important or make any significant decisions until you have come back to Earth. Anything you attempt to do while standing with your feet in the air is apt to not work. If you're lucky, if you are unlucky, it will work, but not at all in the way you intended to hope it would. So this is the Oracle cards from Brian Froud. So everything that he says has two F's. So foot is spelled F-F-O-O-F-F, foof. Okay. So quick fairy tips for Earthlings. So remember, this was upside down. Okay. So this is foof. This is foof. And he tries to put both feet up on the ground to inspect it. But there might be some fungi or some fungi. Okay, so quick fairy tips for the Earthlings. Stroke your feet gently with both hands, each one for 5 minutes. You can also check the holes in your socks while doing this. Paint your toenails bright red. Then your toes will say a cherry hooray. A cheery hooray to you when you look down at them. And this reminds you to keep them on the ground. Even when you cannot see them, it will probably still remind you, especially if you're a man. Okay, so a starter reading. I'm going to read both ways. Okay, starting reading would be the card is upright. That means that we're going smoothly. There's not very many speed bumps that we're working with. So this is fuff the footer. Fuff the footer. Okay, so starter reading. Breathe, ground, center. If you cannot remember how, read Preparing for Reading, starting on page 181. Maintain sanity by staying earthbound. Do this now. Important information is coming your way, but you can only receive it promptly if your feet are on terra firma and your head is well connected to the rest of your body, i.e., off my phone. Get connected with what my body is trying to do, what my life is trying to do. Okay, so that's how I'm seeing. Okay, so reverse. Now, upside down. This is how the card came out of the deck. So that's the way the universe is saying for us. Okay. Oh, help. Get someone to send a balloon up and help and pull your back down to earth with it. This is urgent. It is difficult, sometimes impossible, to connect to your planet Earth while you're floating off in your own personal soap bubble. Do come back. Do this right now. The world is full of sharp edges for soap bubbles to run into. Then they go pop and tumble us onto this hard ground or into dark and dangerous waters below. The better choice is to bring your own selves down gently embrace the Earth Mother. Effectively learn to fly properly. This card received can also speak to those who draw their energy from others rather than their own source. Having lost awareness of the fundamental connection, it can induct that we have lost the proper sense of ourselves as a whole, and wholly are the seeing of ourselves as much as less than the other. So, the transmutative power of Fae turns muck into magic, dross into shining gold, black despair into chrysalis of joy. As life grows out of death, good can grow from all things we call bad. Good can grow from all things we call bad. Isn't that amazing? I know a lot of us are going through really hard times right now. And when we take the perspective of getting our feet on the ground, that's a perfect message for today. Getting our feet on the ground, looking at what our steps are. When we get that soul calling to do something, instead of keeping it up in our head with the thoughts, get it down into reality. Do some research. Interact with friends. If you feel like you've got too much fear around doing it, interact with somebody else and say, can you support me in this? And have a little fun doing it. Because FOOF, the footer, the two F's, wants you to have a little bit more joy with it. Have a little bit more fun. And isn't he cute? Isn't he cute? To have a little bit more fun. But remember, if we don't pay attention to our feet, it's amazing how we don't feel like we're on the ground. And I can tell you, every time that I'm in the shower, as I use kind of I use Dr. Bronner's shaving lotion, so it's like a soap. So I go down it and I pull on each toe every time I do that. And the energy that I release and shift around when I do that, my body says thank you. And that's one thing that we got to remember. Our bodies are here to support us in our soul's journey. I hope this conversation helped. And if you'd like to hear of any other conversations, please let me know. I am just email me at natasha@angeliclarifications.com, or you can get a reading for me. My special is going away here at the end of January here, and it's going back up to $100. So I hope that everybody who has been able to take my special can do that. And Veronica, thank you for chiming in about this. How about the next show? What will take place when the thinning veil is gone? What is our world going to be like? Oh, I love that. What will take place when the thinning veil is gone? What will our world be like? Wow. That's a concept. That's a good. What would take place when our thinning veil is gone? Oh, a lot of people are going to be able to deal with that. And there's going to be a lot of art. Because that means that we're going to have little critters like this running around with us when we're not expecting it. We're going to have critters like this running around with us. So we'll talk about that. I will think about how I can, good morning on Instagram. You're catching me at the end of the show. Yes, I was thinking about that. So my next show, they were talking about a client or someone who watches, and she's a client of mine because I'm a medium intuitive personal awareness coach. She talked about the next show. What would it take place if our thinning veil was gone? What would our world be like? So the veil is the veil between different dimensions, is what she was talking about. That would be a big can to look at, wouldn't it? It would be a big can to look at. Blessings to everyone, and know that if you are in need of service, of um, of moving forward, going forward in your life, and fear is hitting you, fear is part of that dance. Remember, I'm here to support you. I do intuitive work. I'm a personal awareness medium who can see different worlds. Many of us have fear from past lives. Ooh, that's another conversation, isn't it? How our past lives trigger our now making decisions. I'll have to write that one down too, because that would be a good one too. How does our past lives trigger us to not make decisions now? Blessings to you. You can reach me at angelicclarifications.com, or you can reach out to me on the social media you're on. But please, if you're wanting a session, please just don't say hi. Say something like, "Hi, I'm interested in having a session with you. How do I do that?" Blessings to you, and know that you are so loved. The angels, your higher power, and your guides are all out there helping you. And I can tell you the animals are part of that kingdom of helping. So if you get an animal running in front of you, Google, what does a squirrel represent in the in some kind of meaning? Because they can help you. Blessings to you. May love be with you, and know that you are perfectly imperfect going through this world, making choices to do better. So practice your life to do better, and your life will practice with you to bring you along for the journey. Bye now. Blessings to you.